we'll kick off. Paul Thatcher from GHDWoodhead and Alex from Grimshaw.
From Grimshaw, yep.
We're doing we did a project in association, so we're doing a joint presentation.
Yep.
And we'd like to present the Wurun Senior Campus. So we just thought we'd start with framing the question. We both came to this project and there was a lot of unknowns. So for instance, the site wasn't fully defined. The Vic Urban was still in the midst of doing their overall master plan, so we didn't have any defined streets and boundaries. We didn't really have a brief for a senior campus from the education department because it was the first time that they'd done one, and no really defined budget. But we did know some things, and Alex, tell us what we know.
So yeah, we knew we were inheriting a very contaminated site, and the first cab off the rank for a broader development, and it was the coming together of two existing high schools, so Fitzroy High and Collingwood College, and that the site that we got is kind of an awkward shape, that one with the darker boundary around it that is pretty heavily trafficked on two sides and also wraps around an indoor sports centre, and that the school was going to have to be vertical to fit on that site.
Yeah, we had no choice about that because of that very long, narrow, constrained site jammed on the edge of this new big redevelopment site, which eventually will have 10,000 residents or so. So I guess traditionally the vertical campus is, could be conceived of as a vertical stack of office type floors, maybe a couple of atriums carved out of the middle. So we wanted to see what we could do on this limited site to explore that, and also with the brief to accommodate 2 full-size basketball courts and a rooftop court. So we actually thought we'd start by sliding the floor plates back and sort of create an opportunity to have direct indoor to outdoor connections on all of the levels for these series of cascading roof gardens that sort of turn up along Queen's Parade and then turn onto the double stacked courts with the rooftop court. And there's just an image of those outside learning areas cascading down and having another means of vertical circulation as well. So in lieu of, there was no outside oval or green space on the ground, so all of the recreational opportunities, so important to the school, is on those roof terraces. And that, by doing this stacking and pushing, we're able to accommodate their really diverse educational program and expose the kids to maximise fresh air, natural daylight, views of the city, views in and out, and natural daylight, which is so important for education.
Yeah. So it's a 6-level school and it's fully walkable. The students are discouraged from using the lifts unless they're mobility impaired. So getting the vertical circulation was obviously pretty critical. Instead of a single central atrium with a winding stair, we made a really early decision to try to disperse the internal circulation route throughout the length of the building and create a bit of a journey through. And the result was that that circulation route winds in and over and under and through active learning spaces as you traverse up the building, giving you these really beautiful glimpses between circulation space and active learning, sort of a bit of a learning lab. And that when you're on the stair, you're constantly getting these changing views that penetrate deep through the floor plates, intersecting different floors and different learning spaces and different teaching disciplines, which was really critical. It's kind of a difficult journey to understand, but the best way to understand it is in section. As well as the orange of the circulation ribbon, we employed a use of colour per level as a wayfinding technique, and those colours were taken from the manigum new leaves and buds. The manigum's a Wurun tree in language, and it's totemic species to the Wurundjeri Wurun, and where the inspiration for the school name came from. The stair is a graphic 3-dimensional object, and we used colour and transparency and natural light to make sure that it was prominent but unobtrusive, and a really intuitive wayfinding technique that at the ground floor flares out into this beautiful tiered amphitheatre.
So in terms of what the building's for, it really was to accommodate a very diverse, future-focused and tertiary adjacent program for the years 11 and 12. And the school had a really innovative mindset. They wanted to move towards that self-directed, project-based, get rid of the timetable approach, and allow the students to become sort of masters of their own educational destiny and craft their own educational journey. So we needed to provide a building that really flexed and allowed them to do all sorts of things which we knew about, some curricula they had to deliver, and other things we couldn't imagine. And so it's been very rewarding to go back to the school and see the building inhabited and used in ways that we had not anticipated, and in very imaginative ways by the users, and that's still unfolding. Alex spoke about the legibility, to try and get that navigation through with that color-coded navigation device that winds up through, but that connects and displays all of the connecting bits, the small group spaces, the learning studios, the project-based learning areas, the breakout zones and the shared learning precincts, and the student areas and cafeteria. So the other idea was the amount of visual connectivity between spaces to really emphasize interdisciplinary learning, so that there was always an awareness of something going on in the distance, whether it's sport, art, other kinds of learning, and the city and the views through. So that transparency was key.
Thanks. So our approach to sustainability really came from student and staff wellbeing. Emotional, social and physical wellbeing was key, and prioritising this connection to outdoor space, the blurred line between indoor and outdoor. So having active breakout and teaching spaces that are directly connected onto either rooftop terraces or beautiful vistas through full height glazing. We were able to optimise the façade so that we could get really abundant natural light while minimising glare and heat gain, and the use of exposed steelwork, exposed raw concrete, polished, really pared back simple aesthetic that is a bit, the building is a bit of a learning laboratory. And then coupled with really warm materials, so natural birch ply, spotted gum timber furniture elements, and a lot of colour and texture in those touch points.
And rubber floors and all sorts of things.
Natural
materials as much as possible, which was great. So just to wind up, look, it was a story of two. So we had two schools, two practices working together, interior and exterior. We led a sort of integrated team of GHDWoodhead, Grimshaw, and then GHD Engineering. So it was a really great synthesis of all those disciplines together, facades, sustainability consultants, and all the engineering, and collaborating with the school intimately at all levels, including student cohorts, team, staff leadership groups, discipline heads, principals, a lot of research and investigation. And I think we've come up with a project that people are very happy with. So I think that's us. Not about interiors and buildings, but it's about education at the heart, and that's been our mindset and framework for the project.